Hi there, it's Jojo Hogan speaking from Slow Postpartum, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about one of the things that is the underlying foundation of slow postpartum, of the work that I do with mothers and new babies, and that is the slow living philosophy. Now, some of you might have heard about the slow living movement, which has been something that's been going on for about the past 25 to 30 years. It started off actually in Italy with the slow food movement, and since then it has branched out internationally all over the world and encompasses things like slow food, slow travel, slow parenting, there's slow businesses, there's even slow cities around the world. And I think what is happening is that so many more people are becoming interested in the philosophy of stepping off from the rat race and living a more mindful and intentional life. So I wanted to jump on here and talk a little bit about what slow living means to me and what the philosophy of slow living means to me, give you a little bit of background into how that inspired me to create the slow postpartum movement, because there just is so many, so much connection between the two things. So a few years ago, I was living a life that was not very slow at all. I was running a beautiful business, which I absolutely loved. I was a massage therapist by trade, yoga teacher, and you'd think all of these things would bring you into a way of living slow, which, they did to a degree. But because I started building up a business and I had a small child as well, I was living quite a busy life. I had a large sort of health centre spa which employed over 10 people. I was teaching a number of yoga classes every week, and I had a small son who I was bringing up. And so all of this together made my life reasonably busy and frenetic. And there was never enough hours in the day. There was always a to-do list to be done. And I never felt that I'd achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. That to-do list that never gets quite finished, and the only reason it doesn't is because you keep adding things to the end of it, yeah? So I was feeling frazzled, I was often feeling tired, I was often feeling overwhelmed, and I really felt that there was something more that I should be focusing on. And I realized that a lot of what was happening was that I was weighing up my worthiness, if you like, with how much I was achieving and how much I was doing, yeah? And this is not uncommon, I think. I think we are all, so many of us in this, sort of capitalist society which measures us from how much we achieve, how much we do, how much we earn, how much we acquire, how much we possess, yeah? But in my training as a yoga teacher and the philosophy of yoga, which has gifted me so much over the years, I knew that there was more to life than this. I knew that there was an underlying understanding that there was more to life than what we do, more to life than what we have, more to life than what we achieve. Yeah, and it was around about this time that I discovered that others felt this way as well. I've always been a bit of a hippie at heart. I've always loved gardening. I've always enjoyed growing my own vegetables. Even when I was in my early 20s, I was living in the countryside in the southwest of England, living the good life, but still working pretty hard. And I wanted to go back to that time where life was simpler, and that that I knew that I didn't need to value myself through what I had, what I acquired, and what I achieved. And this is when I came across the concept of the slow living movement. And as soon as I heard about it, as soon as I knew about it, it was like a light bulb had gone off in my heart. Does that make sense? I knew that this was the answer. I started doing some research, reading some books, listening to podcasts, and realizing that there was a whole world out there of people who also felt the same way, who didn't want to spend their life rushing around, rushing on the hamster wheel of achievement, They wanted to step back and live more mindfully, more intentionally. Yeah. So that's where my interest started. Now, of course, at the same time, during this time, I'm also working with mothers and babies and postpartum women specifically. The kind of woman that I worked with when I ran Bella Mama, the pregnancy spa, wonderful, gorgeous woman who wanted to do everything right when they were pregnant. They were often working full time, or maybe they were stay-at-home mums with a busy life with children at home. But they were busy and they were rushing, and they were often working right up to the end of their pregnancies. They were trying to do everything right for their babies and children, living healthy lives, eating well, going to exercise, going to yoga, being professional. And they would rush right up to the point, sometimes the exact point of birth, sometimes working right up to the time that they gave birth. And then what I was noticing was they would hit the wall after baby came. The time after the baby came really hit them like a ton of bricks, because they hadn't realized what a massive life change this would be and how deeply it would affect them when they moved from one life to the next without any space or consideration to the fact that they were becoming and transforming into a new person. I've got my dog. Stop it, Poppy. So they were struggling, and I felt so much empathy for these mothers, because I too struggled over my postpartum time with my new baby. I was exactly the same as them. I was working hard. I was planning the perfect pregnancy, planning the perfect birth, but hadn't really thought past the fact of taking baby home. What was going to happen after I brought this little baby home? Absolutely hadn't even considered it, really. As I heard somebody say, I knew I was pregnant. Why didn't anyone tell me I was going to have a baby? So true in my case, and for many of my clients as well. So when I started to talk about the slow living movement, when I started talking about slowing down in the last few weeks of pregnancy, slowing down over the postpartum time to really connect to what was truly valuable in our lives, to live in an intentional, mindful way so that we can focus on the things that are important and maybe leave behind the things that aren't quite so important. What are we living for? What is our philosophy on life? Are we spending our time doing the things that are important to us? The only way we can figure this out is if we spend time and have space to think and consider it. Our life is made up of what we focus on and what we do. And the slow living movement teaches us to focus on the things that are valuable to us. So to me, that's what slow living means. It's living an intentional life. It's not living a life that's slow as a snail. That's impossible. We live in a world that's busy and fast-paced, and especially around the time we bring our new babies home, that can be a really, really busy time. So slow living doesn't mean living slowly. Slow living means leaning in to the things that are important and pacing ourselves into a tempo that suits the time of our lives. Yeah. So, if we have a lot on and we're busy focusing on something that's important to us, perhaps that would be a busy time. But creating space and a little bit of padding around those busy times, around those times that are a bit intense, and then allowing ourselves time to breathe, time to rest, time to focus on the things and the people that are important. Yeah, this is to me what slow living is. It's not Instagram photos of neutral Scandinavian houses that are beautiful, tidy and minimalist, although if that's your thing, makes you happy, that's cool. But slow living is more of a feeling in your heart. It's a feeling to when you are living in alignment with your values. And that's the first thing I ask my mums and families to do when we start planning their slow postpartum. I ask them to start thinking about what their true values and philosophy are around what's important and what isn't so important, because over the time when we bring a new baby home, there is so much to consider that we can sometimes get distracted, bombarded by all the advice, all the things that we think we need to have and need to do and should happen. We can distract ourselves, and we can lose what's actually truly important to our heart. Yeah, so that's the basis of the slow postpartum movement, is understanding the importance of slowing down, creating space around this beautiful time of your life, which is so fleeting, so quick. It's over within a few weeks' time, and you're moving on to the next stage of your mothering journey. How can we prepare for our slow postpartum to be a time of joy and peace, a time when we are nurtured and nourished, loved and cared for, so that we can do the same for our babies? That is my work with my mums and families and parents. If you're interested in finding out more about the slow postpartum movement, or if you know a pregnant mama or family that might be interested in working with me, I love to work with families who are interested in slowing down their lives, slowing down the postpartum weeks and the last weeks of pregnancy, in order to live a more intentional and mindful existence around this time. Feel free to drop me a message or a comment, and I'd love to hear from you. And if you are bringing the slow philosophy into your postpartum, hashtag me on Slow Postpartum so I can follow your journey as well. It was so lovely to talk to you, and I'll be in touch with another video soon.